set. We are at a tie match at the drop. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They do have to be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too. Shot.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are going to teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Oh, the grab. Yes! That is disappointing. This is be a 4-man out because.
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
All right, and we are back. Welcome, everyone, to No Mercy versus Aberration, and I am joined once again by Jukebox. Juke, how you doing today?
Still doing great. Thanks for checking in.
Happy to hear. Are you excited for the Spirit and Deathslinger mirror match that we got today?
Yeah, very. It's crazy because we saw the same match yesterday. We saw the same Slinger Spirit matchup yesterday, which was a blast to watch. So I'm very excited to see it again today.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing it on Gas 7. Starting off, Aberration going to be killing with the Spirit, followed by No Mercy's killer team, and then I don't know. I am just so excited to see how strong Deathslinger is post-Shadow buff. It is just ridiculous, especially because I can only imagine we're going to see Save the Best for Last out the wazoo.
Yeah, definitely on killers that benefited from it before, they got crazy benefit from it now. The two that come to mind always about Save the Best for Last for me are Deathslinger and Hag.
Oh, yeah.
They see it's so good on both those killers.
Demo as well. I think Demo also slept on a little bit with Save the Best for Last, but we do see Spirit here with some two very quick finds. I do want to point out, though, there is some Corrupt Intervention, which I'm kind of surprised about on this map with how consistent the spawn logic is, in addition to Spirit being, you know, Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that if I had to guess, I would say that it's because of how big the map is that they're worried that, you know, whether they find a survivor out or like out of position or whatever, or like quickly or not, the gens will get instantly worked on from the start, which can be very dangerous, especially since, you know, Spirit's not quite as good as she used to be. She still has good chases, but a really good survivor can hold their own versus Spirit for a long time.
You're not wrong, and I do want to point out that these survivors are keenly aware of both Thanatophobia and Sloppy Butcher, and there is the down on the Nia, ending Corrupt Intervention.
Yeah, finally managing to get that down, and this is a pretty decent hook to have too. It's very dead zoned, and so that it's easy to defend and get punishes for if people go to try to save. Looks like we're going to opt the pressure gens here instead of just the true camp.
Yeah, not to mention that, you know, all those things that you said about that hook are true, but on top of which, it's a Scourge hook. So we are seeing Scourge hook Pain Resonance used once again.
Yeah, that's a perk that's seeing a lot of use now, especially with Pop being nerfed to the way it is. Like you said earlier, Scourge hook is objectively, or I guess like arguably better than Pop now. You know, there might be some use where Pop is better, but instant 15%. Kind of goes hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's still a very strong perk.
Yeah, exactly. I will say here, we did see for the people there from the Atom trying to avoid the tunnel here on the Nia. Really do love seeing that perk used more and more often to try and stop any tunnel out.
Yeah, it's absolutely key, especially versus killers that can potentially have short chases like Spirit, Blight, Nurse, or, you know, even M1s that have fast chases too. It is so crucial to keeping them alive because, as we've mentioned multiple times today, 1v3, I mean, that makes the game a lot harder for the survivors.
To say the least. Nia, though, trying their best to avoid the Spirit, does so successfully. Spirit kind of getting a bit turned around here, and I think we see the pallet drop.
Yeah, really good run here from our Nia. She's really preventing that tunnel out from happening. She wants to make sure that she doesn't die until at least some more gens are done. Finally losing the 50-50, but what a run that the survivor just had.
I mean, you said it earlier. Spirit, you know, definitely not what she used to be, especially as these survivors can just really hold their own through and through.
Yeah, she's become much more of a killer that's she's easier to read than she used to be. Like, back before the directional phasing, it was kind of guessing, or maybe a rock, paper, scissors on, like, what's your opponent like? What are they going to do? What have they been doing? What's the pattern? Now you can actually just use your ears, and so it's just kind of it's almost like a red light mind game for your ears.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to see. I will note here, we're not seeing a lot of dry kicks. I'm just wondering, is that just more of a mentality thing that killers have not gotten into the habit of kicking for that 2.5%, where they're not, like, in the middle of a chase? Or is that just a situation of it's not valuable enough to do it even now?
I think it really depends on the situation. Like, every millisecond of time spent doing something in DBD is time you're not spent doing something else. And especially on Killer, every second you have is 4 seconds on the survivor's clock.
Yeah.
They get 4 times as much time as you do. So you really have to balance when you want to kick. I think it's very beneficial to kick at certain points, but there's also times where it might not be so beneficial. Taking the trade here, and Nia getting stuck in the tile. Her sprint burst got kind of used up there, it seems, and not able to take as much distance.
The question is, was that true BT, or are they already down about it? Looks like no true BT there on the Lori.
Yeah, finally getting picked up, and this is going to be the first kill of the game. At least it's at 2 gens. This is manageable on the Survivor side, especially on a map that's big like Gas Heaven. You can still work generators, and you can still run the killer to decent spots on the map. But yeah, getting that tunnel out rather quickly for our Spirit here, and she did very well doing that.
I will point out, though, that probably one thing that the Spirit is absolutely kicking themselves about is the fact that neither of these hooks have been Scourge hooks, so no regression had at all, and just relying on that Thanatophobia slowdown.
Yeah, only 1 or 2 stacks depending on the time that it was applied, and you know, it's enough to slow gens down for sure. But winning the 50-50, a bit of a mind game there on the Atom, and getting hit and taking distance, and the hook save does come in, meaning no one is on generators right now.
Yeah, that is actually really strong. As we were talking about earlier, Sloppy Butchie slowing down these heals by 25%. So that meaning that the Thanatophobia are going to be up and running even longer, but Adam going down.
Yeah, and you know, we could see a potential for the Deliverance here, because I'm pretty sure he was the one that got the first save, and with the For the People, it makes sense. So, you know, taking the Scourge Hook here, very, very good for damaging these generators. But at the same time, if this is Deliverance on Hook, you could lose a lot of pressure in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the kick there, you know, kind of going back to that conversation we were saying earlier of, like, do you kick, do you not kick? And looks like Spirit here understand that they can kind of take their time. Only 2 survivors left, that gen with the most progress. Doubtful that they have much progress elsewhere.
Yeah, especially if the Spirit is not in the mindset of thinking about whether that's Deliverance or not, if maybe they didn't see it, or maybe it isn't Deliverance and the Spirit does know something that I do not know at the moment. But getting this kick on the gen and able to camp it to allow it to regress is very crucial here.
I think maybe what they're thinking right now is just the fact that they saw the Lori be so aggressive that maybe they're the one with Deliverance. These survivors, though, keep on touching that gen, and I'm just sitting here going, you understand they can regress that by 2.5% every single time they kick it.
Yeah, finally, you know, the Deliverance comes out, getting an instant down. This could be a decisive strike. We have seen that on the Deliverance before. Looks like they opted not to put the decisive strike on the Deliverance in this situation. Getting another Scourge Hook, and that is 15% more regression onto the same gen. Spirit looking in a very favorable position here.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to point out something. The meta definitely used to be Deliverance had decisive. Deliverance had decisive. You have a broken stat, you leave them on the ground. But it's definitely shifted to that unbreakable. I'm wondering if eventually we just see everyone shift back to decisive again, as killers are not afraid to pick up Deliverance anymore.
Yeah, I think when it really comes down to is what killer it is. And you have to keep in mind that sometimes running decisive and Deliverance on the same build, that's what I like to consider 2 hook perks on like the same build, which you'll have less of on other builds. So there is a time and a place to combine those together, but I think teams started to realize that maybe it was best to split them up to allow for more second chances on different builds. Going in for double save here, which is also very risky when there's only 3 players alive. Getting the trade here onto the Scourge Hook, which is going to be another 15% onto whatever gen has the most progress. And this is potential for a 4K if played correctly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this Scourge Hook here just going to be so strong. As you mentioned earlier, it's out in the middle of nowhere. No protection whatsoever. And Spirit, seeing the blood in the water, knowing that these gens have just been beaten down into the ground, going for the chase on Adam now.
Yeah, knowing that there's no decisive in play for the Atom is just, you know, a free tunnel out here and gonna be his
Does she
final
get there
hook.
in time, though?
He makes it to the pallet, which is going to save a lot of time, and if this Atom can have a decent chase, they might be able to double up in the last generator.
Yeah, definitely possible. Looks like they are going into the main building, going to be dropping that pallet, and will have to kind of mind game here, but will go down.
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in. That pallet is incredibly unsafe.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that maybe they needed to somehow get around to the pallet in garage rather than trying to go for that. But also, want to point out there, damage generator once again. These survivors trying to desperately crank this out, but the Natophobia and Scourge Paint Resonance just beating it into the ground once again.
Yeah, those two perks especially are just free pressure because you do not have to go over to the gen to make them work, and that is super key, especially when you're in chase. And allowing you to damage a gen from practically anywhere on the map is very, very strong.
Yeah, indeed. Ace, though, some brilliant mind games there, really ensuring that they're able to get away. Unfortunately, though, Lori's still injured, even with a medkit in hand. We have allowed for the Gauze roll to be used by survivors, so they do get two full charges, but looks like Lori has used them up.
Yeah, I mean, she has been injured a lot this game, so it makes sense that they got burned through, and unfortunately, that is really not the position you want to be in if you're the survivors. Who will win the 50-50 here? And it looks like the Spirit is going to take the win here and take the down, and I'm pretty sure this is Lori's death hook.
Yep, you'd be right, though. Looks like the Spirit is going to actually go check this gen real quick, make sure that does not get completed by the Ace. Realistically speaking, though, I don't know. What's your thought here? They're close enough to the hatch to where I think they can guarantee the hook, the closed, and the eventual 4K, or do you go for this Ace who is fresh hook?
I think it really depends on where the doors are. You know, this door is pretty cornered and out in the middle of nowhere with no good line of sight on it. So unless the other door is on the same wall, I think it would be risky to pick here.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you here. We do see Spirit just going for the down, not afraid of the potential unbreakable from the Lori. I mean, to be fair, if you get the down here, there's very little chance that Lori's going to be able to get hatch, as they're going to have to spend a lot of time on hook before able to suicide out.
Yeah, no, there's really no way out of this position. These survivors are just kind of dead, and so they need to just try to play for a bleed out at the very least, which would help them, you know, deny some points for this killer.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to deny. So if an instance Wensville does bleed out, which right now it's looking like to be very possible with the way that this chase is going, it's going to hit 1 point off for the killer. So, you know, not much, but still could decide the course of this match and potential set too.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it in terms of just gens and stages, a 4K at one gen versus an 11 stage at one gen is quite the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And Spirit trying to fake that out there. Ace will end up getting hit at the pallet. And looks like this might be the final phase of the game if used right. Ace just holding W for dear life. Will he get to the pallet?
Wow. You know, great mind games from this Ace. He has run the Spirit for so long and eventually was done. I can only imagine what it would have been like if Ace had been chased earlier on in the game and how many gens could have gotten done for a chase like that. It's so unfortunate to see someone fresh with that much chase potential going down there. But yeah, really well played from the Ace. Great mind games.
Absolutely. I will say, I feel like this is a little bit risky, not going for the immediate hook. You know, you already have one survivor about to bleed out on the ground shortly. You don't want to make that too, especially Ace of all people, who is currently worth a whole 6 points.
Yeah, I think it would be worth it to just hook here and then close hatch. And, you know, if they have adrenaline, that could be decent.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you got to find them. But I think they're just worried about the bleed out in the Lori. But she could be anywhere. And finding her in a very odd location, that's some game sense right there.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have looked there myself. So either great set of headphones, which, I mean, you're playing Spirit, you have that volume maxed out as is. But looks like they're going to prioritize the hatch close before trying to find the Ace. I mean, they have pretty much a, you know, minute 30 seconds here to do so.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to find this Ace, no matter where he's crawled off to. And something I was going to say about the bleed out is just how much of a mind game it is, because the obvious position that people used to go in was corners. Yep. And then killers started realizing, oh, you know, they're always going to crawl corners. So then there's like a mind game, like, well, do you crawl corners because it's the obvious location, or do you crawl somewhere else, or do you think they're going to read that you're going to crawl somewhere else because corners are the obvious and you wouldn't do the obvious? And it's just kind of like a 50-50, and it looks like, as I say this, finding the Ace, 4K 1 gens, very well played from our Spirit here.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing job, to say the least, by Aberration's killer. And also, just want to point out, really great job here by No Mercy Survivor team as well. Especially the Ace and the Nia, some really amazing chases against the Snares.
Yeah, they really do know what they're doing against this killer, and it shows.
Without a doubt. But with that being said, we are going to be switching sides now. This time, No Mercy's killer against Aberration Survivor team. But before we load into that, we are going to take a quick break. So as a reminder, guys, if you don't know already, you, yes, you, the viewers, are our sponsor. All the ads that you watch, all the bits that you tip, all the subs that you buy, all go to supporting Champs of the Fog and our $525 prize pool that these competitors are duking it out for. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back for trial number 2 of set number 1. Once again, we are going to be seeing a Spirit, this time though piloted by No Mercy's Killer. I mean, based on what we saw, I think it's definitely possible for No Mercy to tie this up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. 4K1 is not a impossible feat. You know, it's still a tricky map. It's pretty big, and there's no like consistent 3-gen really. So it's tricky, but with a killer like Spirit, anything can happen really.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Corrupt Intervention again. I'm not sure if you saw what I saw, but I do not think the Spirit did. There were scratch marks going behind the gas station. Now they're going to investigate, but I fear that it might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, it seems like they definitely noticed something, but they can't quite figure out where it led to.
Yeah, however, we do hear that gen here on the hill. Spirit going to do a quick phase walk, trying to see where this fire went. Here's the Nancy breathing.
Yeah, really good ears, headphones, whatever that might have been. Very good hit there from the Spirit, and taking this chase. This could be a relatively short chase, actually, but considering the pallets that are here.
Ooh,
Ooh.
beautiful vault though, and I believe a light to boot.
Yeah, Nancy taking so much distance here, denying that first down. That could have been a very early down, so denying that was absolutely crucial, and she did a great job doing that. You know,
Yeah.
still more chase to be had, though.
Ooh. Once again, beautiful attempt there. Unfortunately, just unable to get the hit. 10% off of that gen on a missed skill check. That is now 9 seconds per missed skill check. If you are missing skill checks, you are doing your team a huge disservice.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, missed skill checks are actually very bad now. But oh my, what a very consistent phase that we've had so far. Both of these hits were like right on top of the survivor, just right on top of them.
Really good
very
job.
accurate.
Now, I will say here, and we're going to find out in a moment, but going past the hook only means one thing, and that there is a Scourge hook, Pain Residence.
Scourge and Thana both in play once again. Very common combination, I'm guessing, for future games. And yeah, just kind of playing this. Wow, that was a very quick save. They had someone set up for that save, and the Spirit, unfortunately, is more worried about these gens than that tunnel, and so they have to worry about spreading this pressure.
Yeah, like, listen to gens. That is, like, 3, if not 4 gens just absolutely popping off and ready to go. Yeah, Thanatophobia is going to be slowing things down, but I don't know if it's going to matter if they're already 99.
Yeah, Spirit trying to do everything she can to slow these gens down, but like you said, they're so close to popping. Anyway, and just getting a little bit turned around there. Very good chase from the ace here.
Yeah, absolutely. Spirit trying to keep them here in this tile to the best of their ability. Trying to get the mind game there on the pallet. He does vault, but where'd he go?
Very good down there, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I need to check something and make sure I'm not crazy. Okay, so I am not crazy there. That there is a Dance With Me.
Ooh, very good hit on the Dwight. Yeah, I was going to say Dance With Me, a very good option versus Spirit. And they already got the save, too. These saves have been pretty much instantaneous. And also, I don't know if people noticed before, but Call of Brian is in play as well, as we saw the skill checks getting hit and all that. So, you know, pretty standard build from the Spirit here, and pretty good slowdown at that.
Keeping it at 5 gens at 2 stages, this Dwight is kind of juicing it up right now. We can see how long this chase will last.
Yeah, really good play there by the Dwight, seeing what the Spirit was going for and dropping it on the opposite side. Spirit just unable to get the down, and we do see that gen popping off, but I'd be willing to bet that means the ace still here injured as well.
Yeah, kind of zoned into the corner here, too. This could potentially be a very fast down for the Spirit. Although getting that window vault, she's having trouble hearing a little bit, and the hit take comes in. Very good hit take from the Atom, giving the ace a lot more distance to work with.
Yeah, overall, really, really good job here by the survivors and Killer alike. A really great back and forth. And we see Adam trying to body block here. I don't know, though. If I'm the Spirit here, I'm going to go for a potential double down. Oh, double back. I think that's Adam that she is hearing, but no, gets the ace.
They are still both running together, and I'm honestly surprised we didn't see a slug for that, because FaZe was coming back rather quickly, although I guess since you have a hook right here and it is a Scourge hook, you might as well take the regression to stop those gens from popping, and then maybe take the chase from there, giving them a little bit more distance, but not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, absolutely. But Ace now in prime position for the tunnel out. We'll see if the Spirit goes back for the unhook.
Yeah,
the decision making is going to really come down here as this game is becoming very close by the second. These gens getting worked on. We're still at 3 gens and a decent amount of hooks. So, you know, I'm curious to see how the Spirit's going to play this out and how the survivors are going to counter it.
So, random thought as we're kind of seeing things unfold here. Adam going down, Ace still on hook. What are your thoughts on Dead Hard, at least in COTF, no longer being part of comp? Because I don't know about you, but survivors have gotten very good very quickly of using those 0.5 seconds to get their Dead Hard in.
Yeah, I think Dead Hard is not as strong as it used to be, but still very dangerous against, especially S tiers, I would say. I think Dead Hard is still very strong versus Nurse and Blight. And so I think that's going to be where it's used most in comp scenes that allow it. But at the same time, even though survivors have gotten very consistent at using it, ping difference kind of does mess with the perk a lot. And it's one of those perks that you have to use it at your own risk, because I was 1v1ing with a friend of mine who's in Germany, and I was not able to land that thing a single time. And I just couldn't get the timing right. I kept trying to do it too early, too late. I couldn't get it. Very good vault from the Atom there. But yeah, the Dead Hard is just, I don't know, it's like a whole new perk. It's a lot to adjust to, and yeah, I say use it at your own risk.
Yeah, I mean, the ping reason is actually exactly why it is actually banned from COTF, as we do see the Atom going down there, as we have people from EU, NA West, RU, where the ping can be, you know, not all too favorable at times, and we do have rules to kind of work around that. But yeah, having to use a Dead Hard with a 0.5 second window of opportunity, you know, on a 150, 200 ping, it is just, you know, night and day.
Oh yeah, it's very hard to land that versus killers who are in different regions than you.
Spirit here trying to see where the survivor went. We did see scratch marks going down to that corner, but looks like Spirit not really heeding much mind to that, and will hit it with Call of Brian and trying to go back and potentially going for the tunnel out on the Atom here.
Yeah, everyone is now reset. These survivors are in a very favorable position. They can just pressure these gens now without any fear of anyone being injured, no thanatophobia. Finding the... Who is this that they should do?
That is the Ace.
Oh, the Ace.
Which is actually very good that they found too, as they are another person who is on Deathhook. There's Adam, there's Ace, both on Deathhook. However, Call of Brian going off in the distance as well. What will the Spirit do here? Will they protect the gen or try and go for the down? And it looks like they will find the Adam pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think here you just have to go for the down, and I mean, I think that gen's going to get done either way. I don't think there's a lot you can do to stop it. Yeah, just like that, gen's going to get popped. So you just have to play for getting this tunnel out and maybe 4King one gen to keep that tie.
Yeah, however, we hear a lot of these gens and a pallet drop on the back of the Spirit.
Yeah, very good pallet save there from the survivor side. I mean, as the Spirit approached the gen, I heard that it had a lot of progress, and I thought to myself, I'm sure there's another survivor around here somewhere, but they didn't look around, and they got punished for that heavily. Last gen popping, there was another one with good progress. We didn't even realize that. And yeah, that's a lot of pressure on the Spirit right now.
Yeah, Survivors is doing an amazing job of keeping the pressure. I mean, this could be at most a 2K, but I'm thinking it might be a 1K 6 hook.
Yeah, I mean, that is usually kind of the standard for this map with Spirit, but, you know, actually getting that kill, they might be able to get at least one more before they leave, and that could be, you know, a decent score difference, something that they can make up for later games.
Yeah, unfortunately, what we're finding here is the Ace, and the Ace is exactly who they didn't want. They would probably prefer, I imagine, a fresh survivor like the Dwight in this case. But unable to find them, they'll probably take what they can get for the extra 1 point on the down. There is the vault back, and the subsequent down on the Ace.
Yeah, very well played from the survivors here, really denying a lot of stages and taking a 2 out, which is absolutely crucial when you want to keep a big lead like this. They're going to have to figure out how to recover from this mentally and push through in these later rounds, but the set point is going to go to...
Aberration.
Aberration? Yep, Aberration's going to take the set point here. Very well played from both sides, though. This was a very exciting set to watch.
Indeed, indeed. Well, with that being said, we are going to stick with Aberration, No Mercy killing. This time, though, we are going to be seeing a Death Slinger on the Suffocation Pit. Very excited to see Death Slinger as they got a huge shadow buff. And with that being said, we are going to be back in just a bit after this message, reminding you guys that we here at Champions Fog are partnered with Stream for a Cause. Stream for a Cause is a nonprofit organization based here in the United States that supports a litany of different causes, including Going Green initiatives, refugees in Ukraine, LGBTQIA plus community, and a whole lot more. So that being said, if you guys haven't checked out Champions for a Cause, our fundraiser that we spun up with them, please make sure to do so. Every dollar does count. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back, and I am wicked excited to see the Rootin' Tootin' Chewin' Cowboy himself here on the Suffocation Pit. And we are seeing No Mercy killing up first in this mirror match, and we do see a bit of Corrupt Intervention.
Yeah, as you were saying earlier, Corrupt Intervention is still a very key perk on these 3-gen maps to make sure that those gens don't get done. And just kind of deciding where you want to hook survivors to allow for a 3-gen long-term game is very important.
Absolutely. Deathslinger knowing something I did not, and finding the Fang Min there, and this is what we were talking about, this shadow buff on Slinger, able to keep that distance so well. I think that's an attempted bounce landing, but just not able to get there.
Yeah, very quick down from her Slinger there. Really unfortunate position for the Fang to be in there. She was just kind of caught out in an unfortunate spot. And gonna kind of get 2-tapped and put in the 3-gen. Corrupt Intervention is gonna go down early, so that's always a plus for the survivors, but now they've got to worry about this, so far, 1 stack of Thanatophobia and this immense pressure of a hook deep into the 3-gen.
So, as I ask you a question, we were seeing earlier with a lot of Sloppy Butcher, and these survivors knowing very well now there is none this match. However, still Thanatophobia. What are your thoughts on killers like Slinger who have add-ons that allow for Sloppy Butcher on M2 hits, or in this case, chain breaks? Do you think using the Railroad Spike would be a good option now?
I think it's at least a decent option. It's one to consider in his pool of he already has like a few add-ons. Like, of course, you always run Warden's Keys for the faster reload. And then after that, I think it kind of comes down to preference, because we've seen, as this one's running the can, which is faster recovery on missed shots, which allows for more leeway in going for like long shots, for example. Prison Chain is the go-to for just making sure you can always get a hit around every tile. And then Bayshore Cigar is seeing a lot of use now. To give survivors even less distance on Chain Break. I think we could be seeing the Railroad Spike as an option now.
Oh my word. A, big oof there on the miss, but B, that 3-second DS was nothing.
Yeah, Slinger does not really care about DS anymore, to be honest. In most situations, the Fang was lucky that she was able to use it in Shack, which, you know, maybe she positioned herself that way on purpose. I think that's a really important thing to note about new DS, is it's all about where you die now.
Yeah, that is a fact. And man, this Fang Min with those just slight dodges, you know, seeing right there, Deathslinger kind of going for that headshot, and that duck just being on point.
Yeah, doing an amazing job keeping the Slinger busy here, and Dwight is here to take the hit. You know, taking less distance from the M1, so they could potentially just shoot that, but it looks like they really just want this tunnel out.
Yeah, it looks like it, and this is where I really do go back and forth on, like, would Prison Chains be good? Because we see a lot of these pallets or tiles, you know, being dropped, and without Prison Chains, just the Slinger unable to do much about it.
Yeah, it really depends on the filler. Like this filler, for example, I'm pretty sure you could play around. Although I think there's a survivor here, is there not? Oh.
Okay.
That's wow. All right, getting free Thanatophobia pressure from an unfortunate circumstance of missing the pallet safe, and now that DS is out of the way on this Fang, this is kind of a free tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the same thing, like, the Nancy's right there, what are you doing? But apparently, Wentzville here just having different ideas than I do, and able to get the hit.
Yeah, and something that I think is worth noting at this point, which is kind of an interesting thing that we were talking about prior to the match, 3 gens have been done, so these survivors are aware of a Merciless Storm in play right now, which is a perk that I don't think I've ever seen in competitive play.
I don't think so either, and I see where they're coming from with the idea of Thanatophobia Merciless Storm, because Merciless Storm's still proccing at the exact same time, but it just takes that much longer for you to complete the gen, so you're doing Merciless Storm for that much longer. But I don't know, in comp, like I said earlier, if you're missing skill checks, you're doing your team a disservice, and that goes doubly for Merciless Storm skill checks.
Yeah, I think the only example where it actually comes into play is if you're able to interrupt the gen, but unfortunately Slinger has not been able to interrupt any of the gens yet. It's kind of like a pseudo deadman switch in that sense, but you need to have the knowledge of it being activated, which you just don't get by default, so it's kind of a hard thing to get done.
Yeah, I think the only time where I personally would ever use Merciless Storm, like, unironically, would definitely be a situation of either, like, impossible skill check doc, or working with Tinkerer. It does have some nice synergy between those two perks.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and trying to go down under the pallet. Maybe someone around for pallet save. We saw the point tech there, but Slinger was able to just shoot her out of the pallet, and so there is no potential for pallet save. We see someone hiding off in the distance over here trying to be cheeky about it, but this is going to be the tunnel out. But it is at 2 generators, which is very, very doable on the survivor side.
Yeah, especially as we hear a bit of progress on that gen at main, and I don't think there's a 3 gen here anymore. Beautiful shot there, though, for the Slinger.
Yeah, that was the tip of the range, and that was just pinpoint accuracy. Landing an injury and a deep wounds, which will waste extra time, and now with 2 sexes and Atophobia up, there's some more pressure on the survivors that they got to worry about.
Yeah, but this gen here just about completed. I don't think it has reached Mercy's Storm range, funny enough, so Nancy did not end up locking off that generator, and we're seeing Slinger committing to this chase, but I think they've outright lost them.
Looks like Nancy opted to take distance here, and it really did pay off. She is very much gone, and Slinger's going to have a hard time chasing this. It's also worth noting that the gens are on 2-2 split now. Yeah. There is no more 3-gen to hold, and that is very, very hard to play out as a Slinger, since the 3-gen is kind of the most important part of your game plan.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the unfortunate fact of matter here, is that with that 2-2 split, I just don't foresee Slinger really be able to reel this back in. They're trying to go for those long shots there on the way, unable to connect though, and now going back to Nancy. There, however, is a missed skill check. 9 seconds off the generator. Nancy getting spooked off the gen. I don't know, has maybe Merciless Storm already been activated on the gen once before, and we just didn't catch it?
I'm pretty sure we would have seen it, because I think it shows through walls when it gets corrupted. So I think it would have been noticed by now. So I think that the gen is just taking a while with Thanatophobia, as you were saying before. Not even able to reach the point of Merciless Storm with how long it's taking.
Yeah, but there will be the hit on the Nancy. One thing I'm actually really surprised about, as we know 3 out of 4 perks, and I don't know, keen-eyed killers like myself will be able to tell you there's definitely no save the best for last on this Slinger here. But, what's your thought there on not using save on Slinger, especially with the current meta as it stands?
I think new save is just so... I say new save, I mean, it was shadow buffed, essentially. It wasn't really changed at all, but, with the way save is now, I don't know if I would call it a must pick on Slinger right now, but it sure is an insanely good option. And, I definitely would consider running it over maybe the Merciless Storm, for example, which hasn't seen a lot of value yet. Again, I can see what this killer was going for, and I'm curious to see whether he can make it work on that gen on the Shack side, because I think that it's doable. But save would just give so much consistent pressure, and I think it's a really good option, as you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Ace here trying to get to this pallet here. Will not get there in time. Once again, using some point tech to try and get underneath that pallet. Slinger, though, not carrying, and I do not hear any footsteps.
Yeah, it must have been a bit of a bait just to make sure that they could waste time on the Slinger's part. There's another gen popping. Survivors working through that Merciless Storm so effectively. There it is. There's the Merciless Storm block that we've been waiting for, finally happening on this gen down here. And that could potentially allow for this kill on the Dwight and from some extra stages. So maybe it did pay off in the end.
Yeah, but I want to say that's the only activation we've seen thus far. So I don't know. I guess there is the also thought that, at 90% survivors have to commit to that gen in order to have it blocked off. I guess there is a thought there to where survivors can't overcommit in that way. But I don't know. I feel like since we've only seen one activation of it, it is has not been the best of choices. As we do hear a deliverance in the background, and that Ace is going to be there and able to get that last gen completed.
Yeah, Slinger trying to decide whether they want to get the down up here or go down back towards this gen, and it looks like they're opting to go to the gen, but is it going to be enough time? With Thanatophobia at 3 stacks, it could potentially, depending on if this shot is in a clear line of sight to the Slinger.
But Ace, nowhere to be found on this gen. 2.5% regression there on the kick, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, as Nancy and Dwight are currently going to be healing over on main.
Yeah, the Survivor team here definitely decided to play this slowly, which I can appreciate. If they could have just pushed through that gen, but it probably would have resulted in a down in another stage. But in this way, they can recompose themselves and maybe get some resets going and just play it slow, since the Slinger, they know, doesn't have any regression up to this point, so it's pretty safe to say that he probably won't. And you can just kind of play it slowly from there.
Yeah, especially as we see body blocks coming in here for the Nancy. Slinger trying to get the flick there for the spear gun. Unfortunately, unable to make it happen. And I'm getting a feeling that we're going to see an adrenaline shortly as Dwight just making sure that they are not going to get down there as Nancy holds that position tight.
Yeah, body blocking versus Slinger is always a really fun task to get done. Just kind of blocking the chain from being able to reach the Slinger is just a really satisfying feeling. And, you know, these survivors playing the body block game very well. We've seen a lot of successful ones up to this point.
I don't know about you. I'm smelling adrenaline.
There it is.
Just the way that Dwight was nonchalant, just holding up, be like, yep, Wait.
Whole guard adrenaline?
No!
That is such a play.
What a freaking power move there.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all. Who put Soul Guard on their adrenaline build? That actually wasted a lot of time too. We can see the haste status effect. There is no, and he cannot quite land that because of the position of the tree. And this might have saved enough time for a 2-out. Thank you, Dwight, for the adrenaline Soul Guard play.
Yeah, that was absolutely unexpected, to say the least. Slinger, though, drop and chase the Dwight, knowing full well that they can't get the exit gate open while still needing to mend. But Dwight going down a corner, looks like they understand the situation that they're in, and I think that's all the Slinger's going to get, as the other exit gate has to be 99.
Yeah, especially with being a 110 movement speed killer, you are not going to make it over there in time. Your only chance is getting a cheeky pot shot off, and it
Excuse
looks like
me?
the door is not quite done, and this could potentially be very troublesome for the survivors here. Making this slight mistake could cost them a lot of stages going down, too.
Wait.
And the final survivor off in the distance.
What is happening?
Now, it is worth noting that there is a node in place, so the Dwight can get up with the Soul Guard still. I just realized.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that didn't quite register with the Death Slinger, and they wanted to get more stages. But either way, there's a lot of pressure going on right now. And if they can down this Nancy fast, they might be able to stop the Dwight from opening the door as well.
Wait. And also, the
my.
ace backup, did they have Unbreakable and Soul Guard on separate
And
builds?
Unbreakable on the A, separating the perks out and getting value for Noed in the endgame. It is a risky play, to be fair, but it paid off so beautifully. And wow, what a play it was.
Soul Guard on the Adrenaline, Unbreakable not on the Soul Guard. These survivors playing mind games I have yet to see.
Yep, Slinger managing to get a 7 stage out of this, but it is so unfortunate to lose to Soul Guard and Unbreakable on different builds. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that is absolutely a new one, to say the least. But with that being said, that there will be the end of trial number 1 on set number 2. Aberration definitely taking a powerful lead here, as we are going to be flipping sides to another Death Slinger, this time Aberration on the killer side. Yeah, just looking at this build real quick. So we got the Adrenaline Soul Guard, also Streetwise on the medkit in place of Botany Knowledge. We got Unbreakable on the Deliverance. Yeah, it was just shocking, to say the least.
Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. Was a huge shock to this killer.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that being said, before we do get set up for the next trial, we are going to take a quick break. And as a reminder, you, the viewers here today, are our sponsors. So the ads that they watch, all the bits that I tip, all the subs that you buy, all go to supporting Champs of the Fog and the $525 prize pool that these competitors are duking it out for. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back for one last trial of Aberration versus No Mercy. This time, Aberration killing against No Mercy Survivor team. And this Deathslinger, all they need is a 2K8 hook to secure victory. Jukebox, what are your thoughts with Ace being caught out so quickly on this as a possibility?
Well, considering that this should be the first down of the game. Oh, never mind. We got a body block in for Claudia. I was gonna say with the down that fast, things could escalate quickly. But yeah, very good that the body block was there. But that's an amount of pressure that we have not seen in a long time, and we get Disillusion in play, which I know you were very excited about. You want to talk about that you were saying at the start of the game?
Yeah,
Before,
I mean,
sorry.
Dissolution is such a fun perk, and when I saw it, was very hopeful for the amount of value that you can get out of it. However, a lot of counterplay is kind of built into that perk. However, Slinger able to make a lot of good usage out of Dissolution, as we saw there, where survivors, they want to drop that pallet early, meaning that you now, as Slinger, have more time to get Dissolution value.
Yeah, if you can force them to vault the pallet, it's so good. And getting another hit here, taking distance away from the killer, but faster reload with the Warden's keys. This could be problematic.
And going for Claudette, not caring for the mag, just making sure everyone's injured with that Thanatophobia.
Yep, it's no surprise that Thanatophobia is getting run once again. I don't think we're going to be seeing a build without it for a very long time.
Yes, I saw them pause, and I was like, yes, do it.
Very good shot from our Slinger here. Very adept, I can tell, at this killer. This is probably one that he plays often, because he's going for these cheeky shots, and it's working.
I love it. I love to see it. And so very excited for the Slinger match. And yeah, I mean, at this point, 2 hooks in, maybe Corrupt would have just ended normally. And so, like, a very quick, short chases, Dissolution seeing some value off the bat. Thanatophobia just slowing down the game, and we see the Nia here. Once again, those really cheeky shots, and who needs Warden's keys, right? Who needs it?
Yeah, sure. This is going very well for the Slinger. Pretty much perfectly up to this point, honestly. I can't think of anything that they could be doing better, because they're playing this so well. Without Prison Chain, this is not going to be a hit. Even with Prison Chain, I don't think that would be a hit. That is quite the feat to overcome there.
I will point out really cheeky play there, and veteran slingers will know this, is if you push your weapon through the object that the chain's going through, it can at times act as if it's not being blocked by an object at all. So that's why you saw Slinger kind of hugging that wall to try and extend that chain for as long as possible. But even with Prison Chains, I think you're right that it would not have been able to get a hit anyways.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a very long shot to take. It was a very good shot though, and if they weren't injured, it would have been great for pressure. But I mean, they have 3 survivors with Thana right now. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to point out once again, these survivors with some really cheeky dodges there. That Claudette dodging right underneath the Redeemer. One thing a lot of survivors don't really pay attention to, but I think that these survivors definitely are, is that when the Redeemer is aimed at you, you do have a audio cue that you can listen in for and kind of react due to that.
Yeah, I generally play my counterplay off of that audio cue, so
Yep.
sometimes when it doesn't come in, it catches me off guard. Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't have to be charged up for a certain amount of time, or...
No, as soon as it's ADS'd and able to fire, you'll hear that audio cue off a Redeemer.
Yeah, so yes, especially if there's a lot of sound or something, it can be hard to hear, and I think it's a very crucial part of countering his kit.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Slinger trying to set up for the shot once again. And I mean, the survivors at this point, they have to just assume that they're going for these shots.
Yeah, no, they're probably very scared right now. This is a very oppressive Slinger that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I will say survivors did get a chance to reset, have done gen, so some good kind of reclaiming some pressure back in the survivors' favor. However, I don't know what other gens have any progress right now.
Yeah, there's this one at the water tower that's been worked, and I mean, they can just kick this and then try to chase whoever was on it to prevent it from getting touched again, and yeah, they're just in a very favorable position.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Nia once again going back to this window. There's no real cheeky shots that the Slinger can do here, mind you, though tries to catch them at the corner, just narrowly missing them.
Yeah, you know, a rare occurrence of him missing a shot
No.
here. Going for a shot through the wall. That is so gimmicky right there. But it almost worked. There's no way. Okay.
I love this Slinger.
He is going for the wackiest shots I have ever seen. And the funny thing is he's landing some of these too.
Yeah.
So when I see Slingers aiming at things like that, I'm thinking like, that's probably not going to hit. But with this guy, I mean, he probably knows what he's doing. Yeah, he could probably make that work.
Oh, I think the Nia here in the side of the Redeemer kind of knew something was up and was playing it very careful there. I will point out here, though, we kind of talked about what the win condition is here for Slinger. It needs to be a 2K8 hook. And right now, only 3 hooks in, 2 generators left. They need to be careful here.
Yeah, I think they might have gotten a bit relaxed with all of their early hits and early downs and, you know, just having an overall good start. They managed to lose their 3-gen and don't have a tunnel out to show for it. So, a bit of an unfortunate circumstance here, but definitely still recoverable.
Yeah, we see that life here. No pallet, though. We did see Dissolution activate on this pallet earlier in the game. Trying to get the mind game here. Claudette, though, doing a beautiful job of holding that corner. Really interesting to see this tile on Macmillan maps.
Yeah, I absolutely love this tile, and I'm so glad that they're introducing more tiles to different maps, and I'm hoping Autohaven and Thompson can get theirs soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Claudette going to the corner. There ain't no dead hard no more, friend. And just trying to hold that corner as long as possible, but will end up going down. But I think we hear a gen pop off in the distance in just one moment.
Yeah, most likely. They would have had to have some great gen pressure. No one was coming to take hits, meaning all 3 survivors should be on gens right now. I wouldn't be surprised if one gen pops and then another gen gets almost popped.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Slinger trying to go to the cell. We do see some progress here, but no sign of the survivors, which, in my opinion, is quite a scary thought.
Yeah, you know, just positioning yourself, leaving these gens ridiculously early so there's nothing that the Slinger can do is a very key part of playing Survivor in such a high-level scene.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see 4 hooks so far, but no one out of the game. This is currently slipping through their fingers as there's another gen on the opposite side of the map that they can be on as we speak. And there it is, and a no-ed as well.
Yeah, they really need to hope for a really good no-ed shot here, because they still need to make up a few points that are missing here. And yeah, it's just these survivors played this so perfectly. They knew what their win condition was, and they played it perfectly. They played it so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Claudette. This is not the survivor you'll want to find. And keep in mind, this is new Noed, so these survivors are keenly aware of the location of Noed here as well.
Yeah, this is just a tough position to be in, and with these gates being so spread out, I mean, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I mean, we see the Slinger trying to go back and forth, trying to do something here. If they do camp out the Meg here, it will result in a 1K7 hook just shy of the 8 hooks they need to secure victory.
Yeah, they need to work extra hard. They need to find someone, but if all 3 survivors are at the exit gate, which I would assume they would be by this point, then just got to say that's just unfortunate for a Slinger who was playing so well up to this point.
Yep, and looks like they're going to close hatch, hook the Meg, and call it there. But, I mean, very enjoyable match of Slinger to watch. Just unfortunate that towards the end, as they're being, you know, kind of showy, you know, did end up losing a lot of pressure there at the end.
Yeah, really good shots here, all things considered, and yeah, he was a very scary Slinger, I gotta say. I would not want to play against him myself.
I would tend to agree, and with that being said, great job by the survivors, just, you know, playing absolutely out of their minds.
Yeah, they knew their win condition, and they played it to a T.
But with that being said, really close set. No Mercy taking it by 2 whole points. No Mercy 31 to Aberration 29 for set number 2. So GG, well played to both teams, and congratulations to Aberration for taking the overall match point and set number 1.
Yeah, really enjoyable matches that we just saw here. Gotta love high-level Slinger play. It is definitely fun to watch.
And I think we're going to only see more and more.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But with that being said, that there is the end of our matches tonight. We'll be back again next Saturday for some more Champions of the Fog. But before we go, Jukebox, if everyone want to go say hi next time you are live, where can they find you?
I stream on Twitch, Jukebox DBD. I'll be streaming sometime later this week, so I hope to see a bunch of you guys there.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, I am Mark, aka Giltspire. Not only am I your commissioner here on Champions of the Fog, but I am also an educational killer here to teach Ghosts to play Killer and survivors how to play against Killer. So make sure to stop on by and say hi. But with that being said, that will be all for tonight, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye!